So, Frank, it's good to have you with us today, and thank you for accepting my invite to participate in our global research.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
So I think before we start, maybe you can tell us a bit about yourself, your role, your background in the industry.
Yes, my name is Frank Rueckert. I'm with HannoverRE for 22 years now in Hanover, Germany, and I'm responsible for our North American Insurtech digital and agency business. So we deal with the startup companies. We try to create the value chain with an existing carrier or trying to find a carrier with them and then reinsure them. That's basically my main task on the topic that we're talking about.
Amazing. And you are based in Hanover, right?
I'm based in Hanover, leading a team of 25 people here, plus a team in the US and a team in Canada. And the core team that deals with the Insurtech companies is about 11 people here.
Wow. Amazing. So let's deep dive into our major question today about the current status of the insurance industry in regards of all the valuations that we have seen in the Insurtech companies and the market sentiments. Do you think that we are now sobering or things will change?
Yes, I do believe that's a great question, and you'll probably have a wide variety of answers to that question as well.
It depends who you ask.
Exactly. If I just take a step back, I believe that 3-4 years ago, it was quite interesting for the investors to put their money into Insurtechs. And they didn't ask too many questions because it was a new avenue for them to make money and to be pushy about the top line and maybe not too much insurance understanding on the investment side. And that, in my eyes, led to valuations that were way too high. And I believe we have many examples there. And it felt from my putting myself into the reinsurer shoes, it felt like constantly the carriers, or especially the reinsurers, had to pay the bill for the investors. I mean, the investors were happy about yet another increase in valuation, and they put even more investment money behind it. But the results didn't speak the same language, the insurance results. So you typically had loss ratios of 100, 140, 200%. And I'm just talking loss ratios, not even combined ratios. But still, the money was flowing. And that, for me, led to quite a state of overvaluation of the respective companies. And there was also not enough deep dive into the respective opportunity. It's an Insurtech, oh great, let's throw money at it and see how it goes and make sure that they have growth plans that double, triple, quadruple their top line by each year. That cannot work, at least not from the reinsurance perspective. And now, yes, you used the word sobering. I believe, yes, we are clearly in a sobering state. And however, now, for me, the pendulum went too much to the other side now. Now, it's really very hard for an Insurtech company to get really new, fresh capital. Why? Of course, the interest environment is not helping because investment companies have maybe more attractive fields of investment than an Insurtech. But also, I believe the Insurtechs are all put into the same bucket, and it's just the Insurtech bucket. And there is not enough differentiation. And for me, it's the same thing like it was 5, 6, 7 years ago when there was also not enough differentiation. You just give them the money, regardless how good or bad they are, regardless how much insurance background they have. A lot of times, and again, please remember from what angle I'm arguing. So I'm clearly from the insurance reinsurance side. A lot of times the Insurtech would have a great tech idea and they would get some guy that has some insurance background, and they tell, okay, this is our insurance guy who has 30 years of experience, and let's go. But there was not a deep understanding of how insurance, or especially a reinsurance relationship, works. And in many instances, it did then not work, the relationship between the Insurtech and the reinsurer. And now for me, we are at the exact opposite. You do have quite some Insurtechs now who do have a group of people who are actually born and raised insurance guys who brought the Insurtech idea into the stable, and not vice versa. The Insurtech, the tech guys who brought some insurance knowledge into the stable. But unfortunately, those guys are also now having troubles getting investment money because they are still in the same bucket of, oh, Insurtechs, oh, we lost a lot of money there, and we have better avenues of investing. So I would rather call for a higher degree of differentiation, and that is not only true for us as a reinsurer or other carriers, but also for the investment people that should have a closer look at, okay, what is this idea really about? Is there a USP? What is the distribution channel? And also the understanding, I cannot aim for a increase in valuation 2, 3, 5, 10x in a short amount of time. I have to show some patience. And this is the patience that we would be showing, because when we put our capacity behind an Insurtech, for us, it's a long-term investment. And for us, it's also an investment, because we don't believe that the reinsurance capacity we put on the table in year one will make us money. The aim is that everyone involved in that whole long value chain will be able to make money in 4 to 5 years.
Right.
And this, I think, is the key. When you talk about sobering up, yes, absolutely. Are we at the end of this phase? Probably not. But at the same time, I believe we need more understanding of the market also by the investors, more patience, and finding picking the right company.
So I could not agree more, Frank. And I think that this is something that I have been hearing from many experts in the industry about this pendulum that was moving too far to the left side. And now we are waiting for this to move back, a bit back, maybe not for all the companies, but some of them that might show us that they can be profitable, they can do the better underwriting results, ultimate loss ratios below 50-60%. These type of companies might be the winners of this process.
Yes, and we need the people to invest the time and the competence to understand who the right picks are. And now we are currently punishing the good Insurtechs. And formerly, if I may call it like that, the bad Insurtechs, they were just going with the flow. Yes. And they were also receiving the funds, just like the good Insurtechs. Now, as the pendulum went all the way to the other side, nobody gets money anymore, and even the good ones don't.
Yeah, this might be a mistake. I agree. I could not agree more. So having said that, as a person who spent 22 years of his career in the reinsurance side and working for one of the largest reinsurance companies, what do you consider to be the 2 or 3 major trends that we are going to see in the market for the upcoming years?
Yeah, also that. I mean, I thought quite a bit about that question. You always have the flavor of the month that is brought through the village, and everybody is supposed to cheer. And I mean, formerly it was the Insurtechs that are disrupting the industry. No, they're not. And by now we know, if anything, they need to join forces with the existing industry, and they will not disrupt. In the last 12 to 24 months, it was all about embedded insurance. I truly believe that this will be the topic for the future as well. And not only just a flavor of the month.
Wow.
Why? Because I believe it's all about distribution. It's going to be very hard, especially in a market like North America, which I can only talk about or mainly talk about. The insurance penetration is at a very high level. So the chance to sell even more insurance is not that high. That means you talk about the same size of the pie that needs to be distributed.
Right.
And with the generation that are those guys that are even younger than we are, they will buy insurance not from the agent on the street. They will buy it online. And it continues to be the case that insurance per se is unsexy. It's a nuisance. And as it is a nuisance, you want to make this experience, the user experience needs to be different than, oh, I need to buy insurance and spend money for nothing because I never get it back.
Right.
Then you have a loss, and then you want to get it back, and then you have the next nuisance because you have to fight for getting the payments. And I believe you need to have an insurance experience that needs to be detached from this negative perception of insurance. So you'd rather need to embed it into a whole different user experience.
Right.
Buying a car is a great experience. Well, attach your insurance experience to buying a car or whatever you do. I mean,
i.e. Tesla.
Yes, exactly. So that positive experience of buying something that you want, that should, the insurance industry should piggyback on this positive experience and somehow make sure that the whole distribution is attached to this positive experience.
Right.
And therefore, I'm thinking about any type of platforms, whether it's travel, car, any other goods to use that you don't necessarily need. But if you then have your new phone, your new gadget, whatever it is, attach the insurance right there. And just get the insurance with a couple of clicks. And this then also solves your distribution channel challenge, so to say,
Right.
because you don't have to think about an insurance agent and yet another way of approaching a customer. You just take the way that already exists, the way that the customer already takes to actually buy the product.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I think that I agree, and I think that if we saw in the past that the majority of embedded insurance was coming from micro premiums and small premiums, I think that we are now going to the next phase of higher premiums and bigger businesses being done in that way. And as you said, I truly believe that you're 100% right. It's all about distribution. That's the biggest challenge for our industry, right?
You can't really invent so many more products. Yes, cyber has been a new line of business,
right?
Granted, and cannabis also,
right.
But it's really coming to an end when you ask yourself the question, okay, what's the new business that I can insure? At the end of the day, when you look at the majority of the Insurtechs, you insure the same house, the same car, the same service, whatever. It's just about how do I get quicker and better and to my customer, and how can I make his customer experience, his user experience, an easy one, a seamless one. And this is where I see the USP of the future Insurtechs.
I agree. Well, great. I think, Frank, thank you very much. This was super helpful and super interesting, and I really appreciate your time spending with us today on this interview.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.